Okay, so I'm going to make a basic buttercream, and for this buttercream recipe I'm going to use about I'm just going to do it quite roughly as well, probably about 200 grams of butter and about 330-ish, but it is quite approximate with butter icing, grams of normal icing sugar which I will be sifting. I'll use a tiny bit of vanilla essence as well, just to give it a bit of extra vanilla taste, and I might add a bit of milk depending on the consistency for piping. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack on and make the butter icing. So this is about the consistency that you want it. I'm just going to slow it down so you can see. So you've got like a nice perfect piping consistency there. In the cupboard I had some of Sainsbury's 12-inch piping bags, disposable piping bags. They are too small for this job really, but it's all I've got in the house, and I don't like to use a pre-made fabric piping bag. I just find them to be an absolute nightmare. So this is going to be too small, and I might have to refill it. Luckily I do have a couple left. So they come on a roll, and you just sort of tear them off. They're not a bad size. And what you do is you literally just snip the end off and you put the nozzle in that you want to use. I'm just going to quickly show you the nozzle because this is one thing. So I haven't actually baked an ice cupcakes for a really long time, but when I was doing it, so I hope this goes to plan. But when I was doing it quite regularly, one of the questions my friends used to ask me quite a lot was, you know, how do you ice and what nozzle do you use? So I'm just going to try and show you close up to the camera. I don't know, I'm not very good at this. This is the shape nozzle. I don't know if I put my hand behind me, you can't really see. Okay, so this is the shape nozzle that you would want to use. It's quite a big nozzle as well, this one. It's not tiny, it's quite large. It's actually, if you wanted to buy one of these, it's technically called a Wilton, which is the make. Wilton obviously do lots of cake making stuff, and it's a 1M. So this is the nozzle that I always use to ice my cupcakes. So I'm just going to get the icing bag ready, which to do, as I say earlier, you literally just snip the end off. I'm really good at snipping too much off, so it tends to be a bit of a steady process. So just kind of snip a little bit off the end. I'm sure that's too much. And then open up the piping bag, like so, and pop the nozzle down into the piping bag like so, and that is literally as simple as it gets. So as well, a technique that I found, I don't know, camera, do it back here. A technique that I use to fill the piping bag, which works quite well, is to just put the nozzle end into a cup. In fact, a pint glass would be better. Bear with me while I go into my... I don't have any pint glasses. They must all be in use. So I would just fold it back. So you're just literally folding the piping bag back on itself, as you would, you know, some videos you see and people are just holding the piping bag and they're just filling it. But I tend to use a cup because it just keeps it steady, and I sort of require both hands because I'm that sort of person. The more piping bag that you can kind of not have folded over, the better, because otherwise you tend to get some on the outside of the piping bag and it's a real pain. So most of it's in the glass, as you can see now. I'm just going to grab the icing. Once you've got it out of the glass, you can see that the piping bag is pretty much filled. So just like you would with any other piping bag, just kind of drop it down a bit. There is a bit more room in there, so I will just use my hand to get a bit more of that icing into the bag. Obviously you can colour the icing at this stage. I tend to use gel colour rather than liquid colour if you did want to colour it. I'm not a fan of coloured icing anymore. I think it's a little bit sort of artificial, but anyway, once you've got your bag set full, just kind of squeeze the end and try and just work the icing down so you can see it's starting to come out of the nozzle at the end there, and just try and kind of get as much air as you can out, because if you hit an air bubble while you're icing, that's not a lot of fun. Like I say, this is the reason why these bags aren't great, because the icing's right at the top of the bag, because I overfilled it, which is standard me. You don't want to manhandle your icing at this stage too much, because as soon as it starts to get soft, that's when the icing won't sort of, it gets warm in your hands and then it doesn't really do what you want it to do. So what I did there was just grab the top and just twist it off. So you've basically got a sealed piping bag ready to go. So I'm just going to pop that back in my cup and get my cupcakes ready to ice. Okay, I've had to I'm just going to put the camera down here so that you can see the sort of nozzle in the end and what's kind of occurring. So I'm probably not going to try and do it from here, I'll probably stand up. But what I'll do is I'll just show you the sort of techniques. You've twisted the nozzle, just sort of squeeze from the end, which Rich will have a laugh about because I never apparently do that with the toothpaste. But squeeze it from the end so it starts to come out. Don't squeeze it here. Don't squeeze it on this bit because it will just start to squeeze out the end and out that end. And you should have quite a nice consistency butter icing based on that recipe I just gave you. You might want to add a teeny bit more milk. I just sneakily added a little bit more milk when I was just giving it a final whiz, which will just make it come out a bit softer. So what you're doing is I tend to go from the outside, I don't know if you can see, but I tend to go from the outside of the cake into the middle and then just sort of push it so you'll see, and that's just sort of a basic icing. So I'm just going to try and show you that now. And then you end up with a iced cupcake that looks a little bit like this. I'll just do a couple more. I don't know if it's because it's slightly salted, this icing. It is sort of a slightly grainier texture than normal, but anyway, I'll just show you a couple more. So like this. And this is just for me the most basic sort of technique for icing that I use for cupcakes. This is probably about as much icing as you want to put on a cake because this kind of butter icing can be quite sickly. Okay, excuse the state of this cupcake. I just merrily thought I was showing you me icing all these cupcakes at this different angle, and it turns out I've just iced them all. I didn't realise I hadn't pressed go, record, whatever. So I'm just going to do this one again at this angle so that you can actually see how that process works at that angle. Okay, so it looks a little bit scruffy because I've had to take the icing off and put icing back on, but you get the general gist. It's literally this kind of motion all the way up and then a little push down at the end just to sort of, oh, delicious. I'll just eat that. That sort of motion and then a push in to pop it off. So icing's getting a little bit soft, so I'm just going to quickly finish these off. So I'm just going to really quickly finish them off with a little bit of edible glitter, and I'm going to get them in the fridge so that they hopefully stay in one piece. Okay, so I've got a selection of edible glitters. I'm down here because I can't change the camera angle. So what I tend to do is try and find a glitter that kind of matches. So I've got a gold glitter which I will put on the yellow ones, which looks like, oh, I'm not very good at this, like this, glittery. And I'll pop that on the yellow ones. Hides a little bit of the sort of blemishes as well, so I literally just get a pinch of that and sprinkle it onto the yellow ones. I think that's all the yellow ones done. So that looks like this. You can see, I'm not very good at the showing bit. So that's all glittery, which is really pretty. And then I reckon I'm gonna go, I've got two pinks. I've got a light pink and a dark pink. And I'm gonna go for the darker pink, which is like this. Nice and pink glitter, and I'm gonna pop that on all the pink ones so that they just look a little bit more finished. And I'm gonna try and quickly get them in the fridge, which I wouldn't normally do. I think it's quite warm in the kitchen as well because I've been baking in here and I'm about to put the oven on for the roast dinner as well. So hopefully they'll end up work in one piece. And that is my very quick and basic cupcake icing tutorial, which turns out it's not great because the icing has separated a little bit, but as you can see they're just nice basic cupcake swirl on the top. Here's a pink one. Oh, there's a bit of a clump of glitter on that one. This one, you can see, yeah. And that is my basic icing tutorial.